Hi, my name is Charlie, and I'm going to teach you how to play my cooperative forest firefighting game, Firebreak. Every game you have a different board. To build the map for every game, you start with these 7 tiles right here. Each of them has 7 spaces. They're double-sided. You pick any tile you want for the center, flip it on either side, orient it any way you want, and put it there for the center tile. You then take the other 6 tiles, and again, any side you want, any order you want, any orientation you want, and build them around the center to make a board like this. We then take these 6 smaller tiles, and again, any way you want, put them around the edges to kind of fill everything in. So that you get a map that looks something like this. I've already shuffled the New Blaze deck, the Spread deck, and the Wind Shift deck. I've also already shuffled the 8 Ranger roll cards. I've dealt 1 to each Ranger, and given each Ranger 2 pumps to start the game. On the Ranger cards are the starting space for that Ranger. So the Hotshot's going to start in Cody Lodge. The Pump Specialist is going to start in Bullfrog Lodge. The Digger is going to start in Antlers Lodge. And the Trail Masters are going to start in Watson Lookout. Next, we'll take our wind marker, put it on one of the mountain spaces, give it a spin, and that is how we'll set our starting wind direction. Next, we need to put the starting blazes on the board. How many blazes you put on to start is determined by the difficulty. For first-time players, I strongly recommend you start at the easiest difficulty level, which is the number of Rangers +1. So for a 4-Ranger game, we're going to put 5 blazes on the board. To find out where to put those blazes, we're going to draw from the New Blaze deck, and it's going to tell us 3 spaces to put blazes on. So we're going to put a blaze on Clark Canyon, 1 on Elk Grove, and 1 on Smoky Barrens. We still need to put 2 more blazes out, so we draw the next card from the New Blaze deck. We put another starting blaze on Smoky Oaks and 1 on Black Canyon. If any of those spaces have already been occupied by a blaze, you just drop down to the next space on the card until you have all the starting blazes that you need. And I tend to point the blaze tips in the same direction as the wind, just as a clue to kind of help visualize which direction those blazes might spread. The turn sequence is at the top of the player aid card. What your Rangers can do is the bottom 2/3 of the player aid card. In a turn, one of the players will do 4 actions with a Ranger, then we'll shift the wind, and then we'll check to see whether or not the fire grows. Your Ranger gets 4 actions on its turn. What are the things you can do with those 4 actions? First thing is you can move. You can spend 1 action to move 3 spaces. And so our Digger can spend an action and move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. However, if you enter a burnout space, you must stop moving. If you enter a hill, you must stop moving. So it'd be 1, 2, stop, can't go any further, or 1, 2, stop, can't go any further. One of the most important actions a Ranger can do is Firebreak. So our purple Ranger at the airstrip can spend 1 action to build a firebreak between those flames and the airstrip. A single firebreak will protect a space from flames, but single firebreaks are temporary. They may eventually fail. You can spend another action and build a double firebreak. Double firebreaks are permanent. That double firebreak will guarantee that that airstrip will not be burned, at least not from the flames in that direction. You may spend an action to deploy one of your pumps. Once the pump is deployed, it cannot be moved, any ranger can use that pump. For 2 actions, a ranger can operate a pump to put out an adjacent blaze, so long as there's a path of pumps back to one of the lakes. So if our purple ranger, using these pumps that have been deployed, can spend 2 actions to extinguish this adjacent blaze and flip that blaze marker over to its burnout side. A ranger at an airport can use 2 actions to fly the tanker plane as long as it's available. You spend 2 actions, you pick any one blaze on the board anywhere, flip it over to its extinguished size, your ranger ends in that same space. You then take the tanker marker, flip it over to the empty side. Nobody else can fly a tanker until the fire takes a turn and resets it to its full side. Sometimes the situation is so dire that you may want to burn a space before the fire gets there. This is called a controlled burn. It takes 2 actions, and you can spend those 2 actions and take a burnout marker and put it in your space and burn it before the fire gets there. That's a controlled burn. Costs 2 actions. The final action a ranger can do, you have to be at either a station or a lodge to do this action, is you can do nothing and rest. If you rest, you take one of these yellow cubes, put it on your card, you've rested, and on a future turn, you can turn that cube in to do an extra action on a future turn. Once your ranger has done his or her 4 actions, you then draw a wind card. The wind card might say no change, or it might shift the wind direction. In this case, the wind direction shifts counterclockwise. So now our wind's going to be along that direction. And what I'll do is I'll actually move the flame tips to show that now the wind is going to spread the flames in a different direction. After you check the wind direction, it's the fire's turn. At the end of your turn, you draw one of the spread cards and see how many flames are on it. In this case, 3, and we're going to take this spread track and now move it to 3. If your spread track is 7 or less, nothing happens, the next ranger takes their turn. If the spread track hits 8 or more, that's when the fire is going to start wreaking havoc on you. At the end of your turn, when you draw the spread card, if the spread track increases to 8 or more, the fire takes a turn. When the fire takes a turn, it's going to try to spread in the same direction as the wind. So using this fire Bare Meadows as an example, the fire is going to spread in the same direction as the wind. So unless there's a fire break to stop it, the fire is going to spread to Antlers Lodge. The fire is also going to spread to any dark green, any dense forest on either side of the wind direction. So in this case, the fire would also spread to Brown Bear Summit because it's a dense forest, dark green on the side of the wind, and there's no fire break to stop it. It will not spread to Edgewood Clearing because although Edgewood Clearing is on the side, it's a light green space. The fire is not going to spread to any of these 3 spaces behind it because those are the opposite direction from the wind. So the fire will not spread there. How do fire breaks work? A single fire break to the side of the wind direction will always stop the blaze from spreading there. A double fire break in front of the wind will always stop a blaze from spreading there. Double fire breaks are permanent and they last. A single fire break in the direction of the wind will hold if there's a ranger in the space to maintain it. If the wind blows directly into a single fire break and there's no ranger there, the fire does not spread, but the fire break is compromised, it comes off the board, and now Antlers Lodge becomes vulnerable again in future turns. Some more about flame spreading when the fire has a turn. As I already told you, flames will not spread across fire breaks, although single fire breaks, when the fire goes directly into them, can get compromised. Fires will also never spread to the gray mountain spaces, off of the board, or into a burned out space. The fire will not spread there. However, important thing to remember is that whenever the flame whenever a flame spreads into something of value listed on the damage board, you take an extra flame marker and place it on the damage board, taking that out of the game. So if the flame spread Antlers Lodge, you take an extra marker out of the game and put it onto Antlers Lodge on the damage board to show it's been lost. You only have 25 of these flame markers. If you run out of them, you lose the game. So whenever something gets damaged, you lose these. When the fire spreads, you lose these. When you do controlled burns, you lose these. I'm now going to do an example of what the fire turn looks like when the spread track reaches 8, putting together everything I just told you about spreading and fire breaks. Now, oftentimes when the fire takes a turn, what I will do is I'll take a cube and put it on each blaze on the board to help players remember which blazes have been resolved and spread and which blazes have not been spread yet. So we have 4 active blazes on the board, one by one. Looking at the blaze of Black Canyon, the blaze is going to spread the same direction as the wind. So you have a new blaze there. Looking at Clark Canyon, it's going to spread directly in the direction of the wind. We put a new blaze there. When we check for this either side of the wind, although Andrew Station is to the side, it's light green, so it does not spread there. Next, Smoky Barrens. The blaze will try to spread in the same direction as the wind. There's a single fire break there, so it doesn't spread. But because it's a single fire break and there's no ranger, it's compromised. It comes off the board. That space becomes vulnerable again. When you look at the dark green to the side, no blaze is spread here because there's a fire break. The fire break stays because it's to the side, but a blaze spreads here to Fox Firs. Take that cube off, resolve that. Finally, looking at Elk Grove. There was a double fire break there. Double fire breaks are permanent, so the Elk Trail Preserve is preserved. Looking to the sides, they're both light green. There's no side spreads to light green spaces. And that's how we resolve the spreading for that turn. After the flame spread, we will put one new blaze on the board. To do that, we'll draw from the same deck we used at the start of the game. We'll go to that top blaze on there. If that space, the top space on there, if that space is empty, you put a flame marker there. If that space has a burnout, for example, suppose of the Smoky Oaks, that actually becomes active again. It flares up. If there's already a flame in that space or a ranger in that space, do nothing. And if you can't start a new blaze in the first space, you drop down to the second space. Try to start a new blaze there. If you can't do it there, drop down to the third. Try to do it there. If you can't start a new blaze on any of these 3 spaces, then the rangers have been fortunate and there's no new blazes turn. So when the fire takes a turn, you spread the blazes. You then draw a new card, put one new blaze on the board, or light up an old blaze in the case of burnout. You then reset your spread track to 0. You reset your tanker. It's full again. And you take our spread deck. We reshuffle it. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. We take our wind deck and we reshuffle that. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. If when the fire took a turn, if there were no spreads from the wind, not counting new blazes, but if there are no spreads from the wind, we will take this little tile here and flip it to the opposite side to keep track. Now saying that if on the next fire turn, if there are no spreads, the rangers win the game. How do you lose the game? You lose the game if you run out of these blaze markers. There's 25 blaze markers that you start the game with. And one goes out every time there's a spread, every time there's a new blaze, every time you do a controlled burn. You do not lose when you run out of blaze markers. You lose if there are no blaze markers left, and you cannot add another one to the board, either because of the spread or because of a new blaze. I'm going to end this video with the link of where to find more complete rules of this game on the Unpub website. Many playtesters have enjoyed this game through the years. Many playtesters are hoping that someday this will be a game available for purchase. If you have any questions about how to play the game, please not hesitate to ask. Thank you for this time. I love this game. My playtesters love this game. I hope you will too.